Hi friends, today I thought we could do a day in the life featuring all the planners and journals that I use daily. The first thing I do is always pull back my curtains to let the light through, and then I get my cup of tea for the day. Today's tea, Kiki's Bakery, spiced bread, was given to me by my friend India in her latest pen pal package, and I absolutely love it. I really hope they bring it back because it was limited edition. And yeah, it's a great way to start the day, and I feel like it's a nice morning ritual. The first thing I usually do is to pull up my email and make sure that there's nothing urgent that I need to attend to right away. Then I take out my productivity planner from Papier. It's kind of a tongue twister. I really like this planner because it both has a weekly section and a daily to-do section. That way I can use it for both my work to-dos and my personal to-dos. It's undated, which makes it really customizable. So I usually go in, I put in the day's date, and then I fill out the timeline starting from 8 a.m. all the way through midnight. I usually check my GCal just to make sure that I'm getting all of my meetings in there and I'm not missing anything. And then I move on to the top 3 priorities of the day. Usually I reference the previous day's to-dos, where typically I'll make a little note to myself about what I need to get done the next day, but I find that this layout works really well because of that top 3 priorities section. It really narrows it down to make sure that I'm not getting overwhelmed by a long list of to-dos, but I'm really honing in on what exactly I need to get done so I don't get overwhelmed. Then I flip back to the weekly section. I usually try to fill this in on the Sunday before the work week, but sometimes, last minute things pop up, so I like to add them to the weekly overview so I know what appointments or meetings that I have. And I also like to go through the habit tracker. That's how I keep track of all my daily habits, like taking my vitamins or going for a walk or journaling. But yeah, that's usually how I do my planning. At about 1 p.m., I attended a webinar by the Climate Advocacy Lab on eco-anxiety, and I found it to be really, really helpful and insightful. My day job is working in the environmental movement at a nonprofit, so this was really timely and also extremely helpful. Whenever I attend webinars, I pull out my A5 Kinbor that I use as sort of my commonplace journal. And for this one, they were just blazing through super helpful information, so I was scrambling to write everything down. Ultimately, it really helps to keep track of what kind of things I was learning or thinking about or reflecting on, because the A5 Kinbor is dated. But I find that since I don't really drop into it every single day, I can span a couple of pages if I need to. So for this one in particular, I think I took like 4 to 5 pages of notes, and it worked out well because I had some pages that I knew I wasn't going to be doing anything on those days and some empty pages that I had missed. If you're not familiar with the Kinbor, it looks really similar to the Hobonichi cousin in the A5 size, except it doesn't have that space at the bottom for the quotes, and it doesn't have the weekly verticals. I actually didn't know what the Kinbor was before this, but India also sent this to me to try out, and so far I've been loving it. I've had some people ask me about the paper quality because something that makes the Hobonichi unique is the Tomoe River paper, and since this is a different brand, it doesn't use Tomoe River paper, but I honestly can't really tell the difference. Someone had asked me a question about the paper quality on TikTok, and I told them if you really, needed an answer from me, I would say maybe this paper feels just like microscopically thicker, but it is still very thin and durable. It holds up well with both gel pens or ballpoint pens or fountain pens, and I haven't had an issue, and it is a fraction of the cost of the Hobonichi, and I think people really like it because of the additional space you have to write, and not everyone really enjoys or needs those weekly verticals. So if that's something that you've been thinking about, I highly, highly recommend looking into the A5 Kinbor if that's something that would fit your lineup and fit your lifestyle. After the webinar was done, I went in just to give it a title with a different, thicker pen. I believe this is the Fudenosuke. Yeah, and once I'm usually done with these entries, I'll go in with this color-coded sticker system that I took from Megan Rhiannon. here on YouTube, which I found to be super helpful to index and sort through my different entries in my pseudo commonplace journal. And here are the stickers. I got these from Daiso, and I have a like an index at the beginning of the book that I reference. Oh, a key. Yes, I have my key here at the beginning where I kind of jot down what each color means. So now that I'm done with this webinar, I will tag it yellow because that's sort of my webinar sort of like professional development color. And with that, that is what a sort of daily entry looks like in my A5 Kinbor. Okay, now it's about 5 p.m. in the afternoon, which means I'm sort of winding down my work day, and I find like a really good way to transition from my work day to, just being at home, even though I'm working from home, is to catch up on my journaling. I have already filled in most of the week. This section is sort of my weekly to-dos, as well as, if you're not already familiar, I track the book that I'm reading, what I'm watching, and what I'm listening to that was inspired by Ale here on YouTube. Thought I would just go through and fill out my Saturday and Sunday with y'all. It was a really, really nice weekend. The weather is starting to feel more like spring here in Seattle, which means the cherry blossoms were out in full force. So Michael and I went to go take some pictures and walk around Kobe Terrace and kind of just explore the Pioneer Square and CID areas here in Seattle. And it was just a really beautiful day. We also got to try out this new new to me restaurant that I've been wanting to swing by for a while. We just never had the time, but it's called Salumi. And Michael got this like meatball sub, and I got the eggplant parmesan sub, and it was really, really good. I sent a picture to my parents, and they already want us to take them there next time they visit Seattle. So yeah, these 2 pictures will go here, and then these 2 will go in my 5-year journal. So now that I have these, I'm just gonna go ahead and stick them in. Like I mentioned before, this is the Forest Planner by NicoleJosephine, and I absolutely love it. It's this really neat mix of like a Hobonichi Techo and a Take a Note. Oh my god, I'm gonna be fussing with this for so long. This is how it normally goes, but in my like short form video content, I usually edit out this part of me struggling. Yeah, oh my gosh, I smudged it. Anyways, Sunday I didn't do very much, so I think I'm gonna make this spread mostly Saturday and kind of put pictures from Saturday on both sides. But yeah, this, like I said, from NicoleJosephine, and then just as kind of an overview of everything else. These pictures are from my mini Canon Ivy, which I use to print all of my pictures, basically. The stickers are from Sterling Ink. I used to have a monthly subscription from them in 2023, and so as a result, I have a lot left over, so I'm kind of doing my own version of like a project pan, but with my sticker collection. We visited Portland a couple weeks ago, and I got some new Smith's tea, which I love, and so since I've been drinking that a lot, I just figured I would throw that in there. Let's go ahead and fill out the spread. I've been using this pen a lot. It's the Jinhao 10, which, if you're familiar with fountain pens, you can probably tell it bears a remarkable similarity to the Pilot Vanishing Point, except this one is about 20 bucks, and I love it so far. I also have this sticker sheet that I have been sort of hoarding from Sticky Club, but with the general theme of the spread, I mean, I feel like it's just perfect, and I need to find out some way to use it. Okay, let's go for this one. Great, now that that is all filled in, I will go in and just finish up my journal entry. And yeah, that's the finished spread in my forced planner for this afternoon. Okay, it's now about 9:13 p.m. and I wanted to do an entry in my reading journal because I just finished my latest fanfic, which is Remain Nameless by Hey Jude 19. This has been on my TBR for a really long time, and I'm so happy that I finally finished it. It's definitely one that I am going to be thinking about for a while. It's definitely one of my favorite characterizations of Draco, and a really realistic look at what that sort of like character growth and arc would have looked like for him coming out of the war and sort of rehabilitating himself, coming to terms with all of the really hateful and terrible things that he internalized growing up or were taught as a child. And it's just like a really beautiful look at how Draco and Hermione would have found each other and sort of like grown through these these growing pains together after basically being in a war, this like post-war healing and reconnection and found family. I just thought it was really beautifully done and one that will stay with me for a long time. So yeah, I thought I would go ahead and do a mini entry in my reading journal. This is pretty much brand new to me. This is the reading journal from the Quirky Cup Collective, and this is also their e-reader sleeve, which I think is just, beautiful. So yeah, let's just finish this up together. Let me see. I think my bookmark is where my quick reviews are. Yes. So let's go ahead and do this little entry. So let me move this here, and we'll go ahead and fill this out. It's a genre all by itself. I'll do ebook, or should I do fanfic? No, I did ebook for the rest of them. Ebook, and then the dates that I read this. So I've been having this, I guess I've been stuck in this little like conundrum when it comes to this beautiful journal. I don't know if I've ever done a flip through of it, but first of all, it's just so beautiful, right? Look at those gilded edges. And it comes with a bunch of really helpful sections that I'm still sort of in the process of filling out since I have just, it just arrived like a week or so ago. But there's the bookshelf, there are upcoming releases, where I've listed the ones that I've already have on pre-order. There's a TBR, which I really want to fill out when I have a second, and then quick reviews. And there's a section here that says reviewed, yes or no. And this is where I've been doing a lot of thinking about, because the next section is for these like in-depth reviews, reviews and reflections. So it has a place for the title, all of this really important information about the author, start and stop, your thoughts on the book, favorite characters, different things to rate, which is really helpful because sometimes I feel like the normal 5-star rating just doesn't cover all the different aspects of the book or story. Notable scenes, favorite quotes, how did this book make you feel, what did it teach you, etc. And then final overview, you get 1 page, 2 pages, another page of notes, and similar books. So it's like very, very in-depth. And now I'm sort of caught in this moment of trying to decide like what books deserve this level of in-depth review, because there are 40 sections for these like really in-depth reviews and reflections, and there are a lot of different slots for quick reviews. So I could, in theory, you know, have this book journal for a long time, which would be great. I love the longevity of it, which means I'd have to be very selective with what goes in these like in-depth review sections, because typically I read about 35 to 40 books a year, which means if I gave every book its own section, then I could fill it out and be done with this book for, you know, like one would be done a year. Or I could keep this for multiple years and only review like the very, very best, like the 5-star will definitely stick with me ones. So hence why I have some of them like bookmarked, like, oh my god, look at that chicken scratch. But yeah, so I have some bookmarked for like Measure of a Man or Key, Manacled, etc. But I haven't actually filled it out yet because I am indecisive. So anyways, if any of you have a thought, or you know, would have an if you have an idea of how you would do it, please feel free to let me know. I'm very indecisive. But yeah, that is me filling out that little quick review section of my reading journal. And once again, just wanted to show off this little reading journal that I got in the e-reader sleeve, and this pen also is all from the Quirky Cup Collective, and they are just gorgeous. I love them so much. I can't wait to use them more. And yeah, we'll get on to the next part. Okay, last journal entry of the day. This is my A5 Hobonichi 5-year journal. I think some people are sometimes intimidated by the 5-year journals or the 3-year journals because they view it as such a long-term commitment, which it definitely is. But I also feel like it's my most low-pressure journal that I write in daily because of the space limitations. I just don't have that like wide open A5 page of a Kinbor or even the forest planner. It's very constricted, which means that I usually just keep my journal entries very surface level when it comes to memory keeping, and I don't have that like added pressure to write anything super in-depth or introspective. And in that way, I feel like it helps to create a more relaxed journaling practice and helps me settle into a daily routine that focuses more on consistency, but also makes it easier to backfill when I need to. And I feel like what really helps is now that I'm on my 2nd year of using this 5-year journal, I'm even more eager to do my daily entries just to see, you know, what I was up to 1 year previously. And I think it's such an interesting peek into the past to see how different my life was just 1 year ago. But yeah, I think this is a really nice last journal, but also sort of last step to my day. It closes it up, it winds down so that I can start getting ready for bed, and it's just been a really nice nighttime ritual. This day I also did just a little bit of backfilling because if you remember from previous in the day, I printed those pictures from the weekend. So I just went through and pasted in those pictures that I had mentioned earlier. And like I said before, it's so interesting to see what I was doing just 1 year ago, where I think this day I was doing a little like solo craft night. And so those are the little air dry clay moo kits that I was doing. Yeah, and so like I said, just interesting to see what I was up to. And then now that I'm on my 2nd year, I try to do these little captions so I don't get them mixed up. So I'm just writing the year and a little blurb about what these pictures are about. Yeah, and that kind of closes up my 5-year journal routine. Thank you so much for watching this little day in the life of my journals and planners. I hope you had a good time, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!